I feel like I have wasted this year because things started going well at the beginning because I did things differently than before. But as soon as I became aware of this improvement, I started doing things in the same way that I had always done them. The reason why things started to get better is because I stopped caring as much. And the reason I stopped caring as much was because I had never done anything to care about, so the only thing I could have cared about up to that point was the future. But as I believed less and less in the future, I stopped caring about anything. But as soon as one thing went well, of course I started caring again. And I started becoming extremely worried about everything that I was doing, to the point where it was too stressful for me to continue, given how little resilience I have because of my lack of experience having ever done anything. So immediately as the pressure started to rise, instead of trying to confront it by putting things into perspective and trying to either care less or work out a way to do things and still be able to care about them, I just decided to spend the year doing things that provided me no value, like just watching anime and talking to the few people online who I'd become comfortable talking to, in relations that really weren't moving forward very much, since I would keep talking to them in the same way all the time, out of fear that if I tried to make any of our friendships evolve or try to use them to learn even more about different ways of interacting with people, then I would risk these too, just as I was afraid of risking all the other harder things in my life. So even though I have made lots of progress this year, I still don't consider that a success. I think progress is way too low of a bar for success. Because if you've never done anything, then anything you do is progress. So I'm not saying that doesn't mean anything, but making progress is something you should be happy with for a day, not for a year. A day where you made progress is a good day, but for a year to be good, it requires a lot more than just to make progress. Of course you're supposed to make progress in a year. You're supposed to make progress every year. So having made, just because I'm so unused to it, that makes it seem like, oh, I guess it was a good year. But it's the other way around. It's if you've never made progress in a year before, well, you have a lot more catching up to do than people who have made progress every year. Now, of course, I am aware that this attitude in itself could be particularly more of the same kind of thinking that stunted me last year, because I'm talking again about the importance of things. But I think at the moment I'm talking about things being important in a rather detached way, really, since I'm not actually that worried about having wasted last year. I'm just looking at it coldly and thinking, yeah, I think I did waste it, but I don't actually feel too much regret about it, and I don't actually care too much about the upcoming year either, so I think maybe I have been able to find this balance where I can be numb enough to things, but also be able to observe them in a way that is completely separate from that numbness. So, I don't feel particularly hopeless. I don't feel too hopeful either, but yeah, I'll see what happens, and hopefully at the end of this year I am still making videos, and we'll talk about how it has gone as well. For the last few weeks I have been talking a lot to people online since I reconnected with some people, and I also met a new person who I've been talking to, and I forgot how, because talking to people is kind of a funny thing, because there's some things that are obviously procrastinating and just wasting time. Like, for example, playing a video game. When I'm playing a video game, I know that this is adding zero value to my life, and that I'm only doing it because I know there's something harder that I should do, and this keeps me distracted from that disappointment as the disappointment grows and grows. I'm not even entertained by the video game. But then there's other things, like talking to people, where it's unclear if that's procrastinating or not, because talking to people in itself seems like a positive thing. But when I get comfortable with someone, it kind of reaches the point where, well, I can just talk to this person all day instead of reading a book, or instead of making any more YouTube videos. And it's like, well, talking to a person all day sounds like a good thing, but the reason why it doesn't sound very good. So I think I just have to ask myself, well, what is better, if to read a book or to talk to other people? And I think the answer is reading a book. So even if one thing is positive, I think I still have to do the better thing, yeah, obviously. So the last 3 days I stopped talking completely to everyone, once again. And I don't know, I think I'm just going to carry on swinging like this, where I don't talk to people at all for a while, then talk to people all day for a while, then don't talk to people at all for a while, and make the cycle shorter and shorter, up to hopefully at some point I reach a balance where it's spend a few hours talking to people, or 1 hour talking to people, and the rest of the day doing other things. I'm getting a bit paranoid right now, and I'm not sure exactly why. There's no sounds that were close, but I think it was just from that light from over there. So it's a bit unusual. I'm wearing pajamas right now. I couldn't really face changing my clothes, and I thought, it doesn't really matter, since no one is gonna see me anyway, and even if they do, it's not like the pajamas are the worst thing about me for me to be worried about them seeing. I'm more worried about them seeing my face than seeing what I'm wearing. I have started reading Confessions of a Mask by Yukio Mishima, and this is an author that I had wanted to read for a very, very long time, but I never read him out of fear that it seemed so good. Just from quotes I had seen from him, and from him being like the most respected author in certain subject matters that are the ones I am the most interested in. So I felt, well, if I'm not able to enjoy this, I'm not going to be able to enjoy anything ever, at least like in books wise. So I prefer to not read it and just leave that there for maybe when I'm more confident that I will be able to enjoy it. But you know, as years go past, I kind of realize how ridiculous that attitude is, because it never happens. That time when you think, now I am ready to appreciate this, it never comes. In fact, you only get further and further from that time. You know, you realize that, 3 years ago, when I thought I want to read this book, but I decided not to, because I thought I'll be able to appreciate it more in the future. Actually, I could have appreciated it much more then than now. And I imagine in 3 years I'll feel the same thing. So I started reading it now, and so far I'm liking it. It's definitely. I think definitely I would have liked it more a few years ago, but I'm liking it enough that it's not making me. I don't know. Well, these last few weeks have been a bit of a blur, so there's been lots of different things that have hurt me a lot, but I can't even remember them now, because things happen so fast that you can't keep track when you're talking to other people, and then you wonder which ones are going to remain at the end. You know, someone says something and I was like, oh, that really hurts, and then they say something else a minute later and that really hurts as well, and then you just wonder, well, does this hurt now, or is it going to hurt tomorrow too? Which one of these things is going to still hurt in a few days? And it seems like none of them have stayed, which in a way is a good thing. Maybe it means that I'm more used to talking to people, to the point where now things only hurt in the moment, as opposed to hurting for days, weeks, and months like they used to in the past. But it's also a sad thing, because it just feels like, sometimes pain is the only way of keeping track of time. You remember, yesterday this is what hurt, a week ago this is what hurt, a year ago this is what hurt, and there's so many sections of my life that I only remember because there was something that hurt a lot in that section, more than in any other part of my life. And talking to people is usually the thing that makes things hurt the most. So if there's no lasting pain anymore from talking to people, well, I feel like there's nothing left from the time that passed. And that's kind of how I feel from these last few weeks. I've spent so many hours DMing people, and I don't remember anything from the last 2 weeks. That's why I'm rambling so long, because I'm trying to remember and I can't think of anything. I felt like there was more things I wanted to talk about, but I'm realizing there's not. So I better stop the video now. Thank you very much for watching, and I don't know if it's too late to say this. I didn't say in my last video because I thought I was going to make a video 10 days ago, but I'll say it now. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.